Good evening, YouTube. This is Black Red Silverbug coming to you with my final video and final local coin shop pickups for in February and March. And these are unique for me. So what I have here today is sterling silver. These are Australian, and I picked up 3 florins. Okay, I picked up 4 shillings. Now the florins are equal to 2 shillings precisely. So let's look a little closer at these. So I have a 1926, which features the kangaroo and the emu on the reverse, and features George V. Also featuring George V, I have the 1931 florin, which also says 2 shillings on it. Very nice coin, 1931. And then the final florin is a 1941 featuring George VI. Okay, the shillings, I have one of them with the kangaroo and emu, which is George V. George V. Okay, and the other 3 are 42 and 43, which features the ram's head. And of course that is George VI. Now, a little more on the sovereigns versus the coins. In 1910, they would have featured Edward VII. From 1911 to 1936, George V, and from 1938 to 1952, George VI. However, after 1940 or 46 and beyond, these were no longer minted in sterling silver, but were reduced to 50% silver. Interestingly, the British coinage went to 50% in 1920, a couple of decades earlier. Okay, as far as the mintages are concerned, these coins are minted from 1910 to 1915 in London, and also in 1915 were minted in Birmingham. Then they moved to Australia, and from 1916 to 1945 they were minted in Melbourne mostly, and then in Sydney from 1924 to 1926 as far as the florin is concerned. Now several more years they were minted in Sydney as far as the shilling is concerned, and that was from 1921 to 1926. Now there is a very key date for the shilling, and it's in 1921, minted in Sydney. Now it would look very similar to this one here with the emu and the kangaroo, with the major difference of having a star over the date. So it's called a 1921 star shilling, and in almost uncirculated and uncirculated condition can be worth quite a bit, perhaps in the thousands. Okay, so finally there were several years that these were not minted within that date range from 1910 to 1945, and they were in common between these two, between the shilling and the florin, and those were 1923, 1929, 1930. In addition, the florin was not minted in 1920, and the shilling was not minted in 1932, 1938, and 1945. Now the florins contain just slightly over 1/3 ounce of silver each, and so the shilling contains slightly over 1/6 of an ounce, of a troy ounce of silver. Very good, very interesting stuff. I guess the florin, a key date might be 1932. There were only 188,000 minted. And of course, as I mentioned, the 1921 shilling with about 500,000 minted. Okay, Maybe too much for small amount of Australian junk silver, but I was glad to pick them up and learn a little bit about some sterling silver. Thanks a lot. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.